Um, there we go. Yeah, thanks for joining. I'm looking forward to chatting and sharing some stories and learning. It's very much interactive. So if you want to ask a question at all, or pop it in the chat, or want to say anything, or contribute, or kind of give your experience, then please do. It can be an open forum on many of the slides that we're gonna go through. Very much like interactive webinars, and not really the sound of my voice for a full hour. So you'll have that. So I'm just going to do the techie stuff and share the screen. There we go. Okay. Cool. Is that sharing for everyone full screen now? Someone's going to have to say yes because my screen's disappeared.
Yeah, it's coming up, Emy.
Perfect. I'm good. I think that was Billy, wasn't it? I think
Yeah.
so. Lovely. Yeah. So it's going to be an evening of sharing some stories and some thoughts from the water. And it's not just about the paddling through kind of expeditions, through rivers. It's all the things that encompass what paddling is. The challenges and unexpected lessons that are put there that come from every stroke and storm. And with that, it's kind of navigating those challenges and how we've dealt with them and gone forward. And I think when I first started paddling, I was probably quite naive. I wanted to paddle some big rivers and look really good in a boat. But then I've really found over the years that paddling's so much more. It's a big community. It's about the people. It's about the land we paddle in. It's the culture. It's the history. It's the folklore. There's everything. There's so much more to getting in a boat and paddling, and it's how we as paddlers, as peers, as coaches, leaders, etc., how we can drive and be an ambassador for that and pull that through in everything we do. So a lot of that's going to encompass what we chat about tonight. But I wanted to start off with the first slide. And I've kind of called it the source of the paddle, and where it all really started for me. And maybe for many people within the chat tonight, that where did it start for you? And really kind of thinking back on it, that it all came down to me was an outdoor residential camp when I was at primary school, and at high school. And I think the power of these really, it didn't really kind of resonate with me until recently, that these camps and these activities that we do, getting in a canoe for the first time, now we've got paddleboarding, getting on a paddleboard for the first time, getting in a kayak, etc. These experiences, when you do them really young, we get the team building, and it builds your self-esteem, it builds the confidence. And I don't think at the time I realized how much that was going to impact and influence where I've got to and what I do in life now. And I think it's absolutely fantastic that we just had the outdoor education bill passed back in December, so that every child now has an opportunity to have an outdoor residential. And I think we all know, as people that paddle and people who like being in the outdoors, that school isn't for everyone. Our brains all learn different ways. We have lots of different other kind of behavior styles that we need to kind of navigate when we are coaches or leaders or on the water. And I think being outside opens that door and opens that opportunity for everyone to give it a go. And I think the real big value in it is to allow this to happen. So I'm super happy that the bills come back in. The bills come in, and we now have outdoor residential camps. One of my first memories was getting in a canoe for the first time, and I didn't know. To hell, I didn't know what I was doing at all. I probably held the T grip wrong. And now a win for me is if I've got an outdoor residential and I'm working with kids, if they can hold the canoe paddle correctly by the end of an hour intro session, I think that's a win. They're not kind of got their hands halfway down the shaft. They're holding the T grip properly. That's a win for me. And I think it just influences everything I do now. And when I'm leading and doing some paddle sport instructor courses or SUP instructor courses, there's a big section that we talk on, and what's the attributes of an instructor and what's the attributes of a guide or a leader. And it all comes down to that first impressions. It's that first moment you meet someone who does that activity. And there was a lady called Sheila that I met when I was doing my paddling, and we all called our boats Sheila's Wheels. And I just constantly think, when I'm introducing paddling and kind of running these NGB courses, that these moments are so pivotal in people's first impressions when they go on the water. and it's not just for kids, it's adults as well. They might come to an intro session, and it's these first moments and how you empower them, how you inspire them to go on in their paddling. And I just thought it was a good way to open it, and I put some phrases round on there. And if you've got any others you'd like to add, or if you can remember your first moment where you went in a boat, or your first experience, feel free to pop it in the chat there. And I'll come back to it at some point if you pop it on in. Like I said, I can't see the screen right now because I've fully made my screen big into the presentation. But yeah, feel free to pop on any of your first memories or your first moment that you went paddling on there. And I think that's what brings us to my next slide. It's it's the inspiration. Where do we gather our inspiration from? And there's many things that we can take inspiration from, and I think people are a fantastic inspiration. You can read about them, you can kind of see blogs about them, you hear about them. And when kind of first starting my paddling career, I did my what is now your paddle sports instructor, but back then it was your level 1 or 2 or 3, etc. And you're walking into a room and you've got some big names in paddling. And I remember just being very daunted, like, oh, these are such big names. They're inspiring. I'd really one day like to be like them. I'd really one day like to paddle with them. And the photo up there is myself, and that's for those who don't know, that's Mike Devlin, who I kind of heard through the paddling world. He big name back in British canoeing quite a few years ago now. And then I ended up coming onto working with him, and I had to guide a trip with him. And I saw his name on the right on the bit of paper, like the dossier. I was like, oh, I need to be guiding with him. And I was like, oh gosh, this is going to be. I was really inspired, and by the end of the trip, like Mike and I were great friends. And now we paddle together, and lots of different kind of chat going on. And I think inspiration comes from hearing their stories. And Mike's got so many stories. I could just sit with a cup of tea and just listen to his stories, and then they inspire me to go and want to do more. And I think being able to have that conversation and that open chat, your inspiration will then will inspire other people to go out. And it doesn't need to be a big expedition. It could be as simple as going out for a nice morning paddle or a sunset paddle after work. Just getting yourself out on the water and sharing your stories is such good inspiration on that. And guidebooks. I know a lot of people are online now, but there's nothing like I love more than picking up a book or looking at a map and kind of seeing, right, where can I go read what other people have done, and can you go do it? And the river will be different to when they paddled it. The levels are different. The weather's different. So you could paddle the same river plenty of times, but you'll always paddle it a different way. Because like I say, the levels are different, the weather's different, the people are different, and it's sharing that story on the river. And I love a map, absolutely love looking at them, picking them up and kind of seeing, right, how and where can I journey from, and can we do a crossing this way? And I love a portage as well. How many portages, and how insane can we make these portages? And that's just a little bit for my own love or hate at the time to do that. Videos online, I always try to share videos in terms of when doing coaching and feedback for them. I think video feedback is fantastic. It's direct, it's there, you can really get a lot from it. So Ray Goodwin's videos, I've used them a lot to share. I used them a lot when I first started paddling to look into it. And it's really good. And I don't think Ray will be too happy what I'm next going to say, but I ran an NGB course, and I mentioned Ray Goodwin's name, and the people were quite young, and they looked back at me with a complete blank face, like, who's Ray Goodwin? And part of me kind of got a bit crushed. So I had to share the joy and the talent that is Ray Goodwin there, and got his book out and kind of showed them who it was. And that was them flicking through the book. And then the next day they all came with, oh, can we try this stroke? Can we try that stroke? And it was just really good to kind of ignite a bit of passion in people coming into paddling and inspire them to really get into the what and the why and the how of paddling, rather than, oh, it looks really cool in a photo. But in saying that, social media is an absolute brilliant platform. Community groups bring people together to go paddling. You'll be able to kind of share what's out there, and then it inspires you to go do these really cool trips. It helps you as a business for which is what I do, paddling. I have to use it, but also it's just great to share the joy of watching people paddle. around the world, around Scotland, around the UK, etc. It's just really cool to see what people are doing. And I put a copy of the latest Paddler magazine down on the screen there. And just looking at the front cover, it's like, okay, there's the sup on it, there's sea kayaking, there's canoeing, they're going to Sweden, it's family paddling, it's a bit of everything. And you can be whatever age, whatever part of the world, there's something you can go do, and it doesn't have to be a big, massive adventure for it to be quality and for it to be really fun. And what I got a few people to do on the next slide is just to talk about their favorite adventure. So I'd just like to share that with yourselves just now, if I can get the tech to work. So we'll get that on. Okay, is it going to come up? Nope. Okay.
Emmy, I can't hear the volume. I don't know if that's just me.
Oh, okay. It's playing at mine. Can no one else hear the volume either? Okay.
You could possibly share the link. It might be the input audio. I don't know.
Oh, it's not a YouTube video, that's the thing.
Oh.
How do I do that? I can try. Let me try it because I've got other videos through it, so that might not be the best. Let's try. All right, let's try putting the video in. Right, okay. I love technology. I'm so glad I paddle better than I use tech. Okay, chat. All right, try. Will that work? I put a link in the. Does the link work there for you, Louisa?
My favourite experience is travelling down Spain on a cold, wet, drizzly day.
Yes, it works for me. I think if everyone just watches it. Yeah.
With whiskey, the formal bottles, and sets up well for the next part of the adventure.
Hi, I'm Margaret. I love paddling. It gives me a great sense of freedom, friendship, and achievement, and so much more. No greater pleasure coaching, sharing the joy, and watching others succeed.
My best canoeing trips have been with the Duke of Edinburgh Award. Doesn't matter what level. I just love it so much. It's the confidence that you see them build up over their training and assessments, confidence building, and their much improved decision making.
One of my best canoe experiences to date was to lead a canoe expedition down the Del de Moron in Mongolia. No maps, no guidebook, no information, just leading the river from first principles. What's not to like?
My favourite canoe adventure is any where we get the linked bodies of water together from the loch onto the river and enjoy the versatility of going canoeing. And of course, going out and hunting Scottish wild beaver.
Wow. Outstanding adventure was in the south of Sweden, paddling a series of inland lochs and lakes, round islands where beaver and elk were just doing their thing.
Oh, hopefully people managed to get that link to work. Sorry, I'm not sure why it's not working on through the chat. But it was just really nice to ask other people who paddle, and those people that kind of shared that they're not all coaches, they're not all guides. It's a very much mix of people on that. And it just goes to show the variety of what we have within the paddling community, and that it's not about doing a big massive adventure. It's not about doing a big river or anything, and it's the community that we've got and sharing that with. And it always means different. It's always different to someone else. And we've got that shared passion of being on the water. I'm just going to share the screen again to get that back up. Where are we going? Okay, I think that's us back up. And that kind of brings me to such a good phrase that I like to use when I'm coaching, when I'm talking to people, when I'm out with peers, when I'm with club paddlers, etc. And it's a massive kind of lesson. It's probably the biggest lesson that I've struggled with and learned and still do struggle with it on a daily basis. And I think we all do at times. And it's comparison is the thief of joy. And I think I'm smiling when I say that now. That we as humans, we always strive to be, well, we always strive to be great, and we want to kind of be good at something we do. We try something, go, I'd like to do this and like to do that, etc. But I think I personally definitely, when I started, I was like, oh, I want to be like that person. I want to make my boat dance on the water. I want to do this. I want to do that. And when I was out and I was, for example, learning to ferry glide, there was a part of a group of us out and we were all getting coached, and other people could achieve it easier than me, or other people were making it look smoother. People were putting less paddle strokes in than I was, and I was getting frustrated, but I wasn't celebrating the fact that I actually got a ferry glide. I got from one eddy to the other across the flow. And rather than celebrate that moment of joy and be like, I've achieved something, I've achieved the objective, I was always looking for something more. I was comparing myself to others, and actually it really took away the essence and the enjoyment of what I just achieved. And I really try to focus this when I'm coaching and putting this through, that celebrate these small moments, and try not to compare yourself to others. And that's what's super hard, is as we do as people, we do compare ourselves. One second. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Sorry. We are.
Do you want to share your screen again, Emmy? Sorry to interrupt.
There you go. No, it's fine. And yeah, like we do, and it's a big thing that I've definitely struggled with, and I'm just being more aware when I coach and when I lead, that comparing yourselves to others is going to take away that win moments. And I encourage people to share that, and try not to compare each other. And another thing where I really try when I'm coaching is to not use the word just. And it's one in the last, I think, 3 years that I've shared when I run instructor training courses, that the word just, saying, oh, just get your boat over there, or we're just going to ferry glide here, or we're just going to paddle down and eddy out to the left. Now that just might be simple for me to do. It might be simple for a couple of people in the group, but there might be 1 or 2 people sitting in the group going, what does she mean just? I've just got in this boat. I can't ferry glide. I can't angle it. I'm going to fall out. What's an eddy? So I think the language is something that's very important, that we've really got to think about when we coach and we lead and we guide. But the main thing is celebrate the moments, and try not to compare yourself to other people, as it takes away those moments of enjoyment. So that's a big kind of life lesson that I've learned and tried to portray through everything I do on that one. Okay. Social and employer pressure. So this was a slide I was unsure whether I'd add in and talk about it, but I did a webinar with a development group, and we had a really good chat on the pressures that we as leaders, coaches, and potential paddlers put on ourselves. And these are some of the phrases that I have heard, then I think that do influence and kind of put pressure on it. And it's a tough one, depending on if you are in a career in paddling, and if you do go out paddling with your peers. And we again, it's like that comparison. We put it on ourselves. With the pressure, we put it on ourselves. And the amount of pressure could then influence the decisions that we make. And then the decisions that we've made, how do they impact the group? How do they impact on safety? And a lot of it comes down to having confidence, knowing your remits, knowing the environment you're going into, and be able to justify what you're doing. And I'll use the Great Glen Way as a fantastic example on this, and it's one that we discussed in the previous webinar I was chatting about. And the Great Glen Way, canoeing across Scotland, a lot of the photos that get put out there for kind of commercial trips are lovely flat glassy locks. That looks very idyllic, lovely to paddle, where reality is probably about 80% of the time it's been quite windy, quite blowy. Loch Ness, we've had the sails on, and it can turn into quite a challenging kind of high-end remit of the award, depending on what award you have. And there's been some times where I've gone out and I've been paddling. I've had a really confident group, and we've got the sails up, set up a big rig, sailed all the way down. All the way down Loch Lochy. We pulled over, and I ran into a different group, and they were like, "Oh, we're not going out just yet because it's too choppy." We had a little chat, and I was like, "Well, we're going to head on." And then their group was like, "Well, why can't we?" And we kind of had the conversation and be like, "Well, the people I had out had already done a bit of paddling. We had previous experience kind of building that all together." And I think it was really admirable that the guide with the other group were like, "No, we're not going, as we don't have that sufficient skills." And it took a lot of kind of confidence to be able to say that to paying clients on what could be day 2 of a 5-day trip, because they've come with the expectations to complete a canoe journey across Scotland, where actually the one thing we cannot control is the weather. And the uttermost kind of fundamental thing is safety at the end of the day. You've booked a trip, yes, to get yourself from kind of east to west or west to east, depending on the wind conditions, but you're paying for a guide to keep you safe. Yeah, the trip's fantastic. The paddling will be great. All the guiding elements to it will make the trip. But at the end of the day, you're paying for the guide's knowledge, you're paying for the guide's experience and the guide's experience, etc. And it'll take time to potentially build that confidence up, to say, no, this is a decision I've made, we're going to sit it out, and then we'll continue on. And I guess there's other pressures that you can get added on, because you could see other groups coming by, or your employer might be like, "Oh, well, we need you to be camping at the end of this lock so you can make the trip work." And they might be looking at a forecast that's on the Met Office or the BBC, but it's very much not what is going on the ground. And like I said, it was so admirable of that guide to say, "No, we're going to stay here." And there's been some times where I think guides and kind of young guides or less experienced guides come on and they go, "Oh, we'll do it anyway because you've gone." And then we've met them at the camp again. They're like, "Oh no, we shouldn't have done that." And I was like, you've got to understand your group, know the environment, know where you're going, and have the confidence to say to employers or to say to friends when you're out paddling, "Actually, I'm going to portage this one, or we're going to wait for this one because the environmental conditions are making it slightly unsafe to go on." So it's just really good that people are now talking about it as well. And when I first started in the outdoors, there was a few things I was like, "Oh, is that in my remit? Is that not in my remit?" And now when I'm delivering courses, and at the end of a course I deliver it, we spend a lot of time talking about your remits, talking about if you are working for a deployer, how they impact it and all, and what support's available. But some of the other phrases I've seen is, "You have a qualification, kind of crack on." And that to me is great. Someone's gone out, they've worked towards a qualification, that's absolutely fantastic. But I think what mirrors qualification is experience. And I think you can go and you can do a course and you can pass and you can have the qualification. But a lot of it comes from experience. It's going out, it's paddling different rivers, paddling different locks, doing lots of rescues, building up that experience, building up that knowledge bank so you can relate to people on it. And I think, again, when I first started in the outdoors, I was like, "Woohoo, I've got my leader qualification, let's go." But actually, taking it back a step, I probably should have gone out and paddled a lot more different rivers, a lot more different locks. And that's what I encourage now through courses, is saying, go out and get that experience, kind of paddle with other people. And as much as we don't like doing it, if you've got to the end of the river and you haven't had a swim, try a self-rescue every now and again, so you're relevant with it, and you can do it when you really need to do that rescue other boats, etc. on that. So I always try to encourage that. And again, if I could have told myself that back when I first started, it would be keep my self rescues, keep practicing that, and go out and kind of grab all the experience. You can be like a sponge, take all the knowledge and information from everyone else around you. And then that last one that I've put on there, that I want that shot of it for Instagram. There's definitely been some commercial trips I've ran, and people are like, oh, I'd like a photo of me paddling past Urquhart Castle. And I was like, well, that's not going to work because we're on the opposite side of the loch and we're not crossing because it's about a force 5, force 6. So there's like little influences that I think sometimes we don't necessarily realize how much they influence our decision making. But at the end of the day, decision making, you've got to keep the people safe, and have confidence in it. And if there's anything you can do to instill people that are kind of coming through paddling qualifications, or if you yourself are coming through kind of becoming a leader or becoming an instructor or taking out kind of paddling groups, is that have the confidence and say, this is why we're not going. The weather is coming, or we as a group, we're not strong enough. And it's been able to share openly and talk about that. I think that will really help, and that will build communication and build relationships when you paddle in there. Okay.
Emmy, I can't see your screen. I don't know if we're supposed to be.
You should be able to. You can't see the screen?
No, you're not sharing anything that I can see. I think you have to reshare it.
Oh dear. It's you see it now? Can you see it now, Louisa?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Great.
So that would now make sense to what I've just said. But yeah, okay. Lessons learned when guiding. Biggest kind of takeaway for me with it, and from when I've been doing courses and taking people out, is that the paddling's probably about a very small percentage of why people have come on a trip. Yes, they want to enhance their skills, they want to be able to have more confidence on the water, but a lot of it's being out on the water, like being outside and enjoying an experience. There could be so much going on in people's lives that you don't know about. And even on pier paddles, it could be getting onto the water is a time to be de-stressed, not think about what's going on, enjoying the wildlife, enjoying the surroundings. And as a guide or a coach, it's having this additional knowledge to be able to share that with people. And again, it's only kind of in the last maybe 4 or 5 years or so I've really dug into and kind of found the other things that people want when you're out guiding with them. Knowing these fun facts about the river, knowing where you can go for like the really good kind of cafe stop or something, or knowing the history of an old ruin that you're going to paddle by, and it really kind of encompasses and brings to life the area that you're guiding in. And getting to know your group, getting to know their needs and their wants, and how you can pull that through, and how you can make the trip so individualized for them. Before naive when I first started guiding, I was like, fantastic, I've done my 4-day trip, no capsizes, we're really good, we got that. But now we're more about teaching them something about the land, about the stories, the people that are there, so they can go away with a full knowledge of the area that they've paddled in, not just, oh, they went down the river, they did it in 4 days. They can now talk about the history of the bridges that you pass, the history of malt whiskey, for example, with the spey, or the salmon, and how it all encompasses everything with it. And getting to know your group that way really, really does help, and kind of really brings together the life of a trip. And I've put there, sometimes the client's best bit is when the plans change. And there's a photo of me trying to get a boat off that's Chinese Bridge Rapid on the River Tay. And that was definitely what the client said was the best part of their 5-day trip, was the fact that they got to see us working as leaders and be able to get yourself out of a sticky situation. Now they'd come down, and it wasn't too high, that river. They'd hit a rock, and they'd actually capsized quite a lot of meters up from there, and then the boat drifted down and folded right on a rock. And it's a Royal X boat there, and it took a while to get it off. It was a big team effort, got them all involved. We got it off, and the boat eventually popped back into shape, and we completed the trip. We actually completed another 3 days in that boat. And the best part of it was actually when we had to sort an issue. And I think that really instills confidence into the group. I'm not saying that every trip needs to have an issue like that, but when your clients really know that you can look after them, and you've got everything that you can get yourself out of sticky situations, you can do self rescues, you can get boats off, that it really kind of enhance the trip for them. And not all people that come on trips are paddlers. People want to give it for a good time. They might want to explore the wildlife. I've had quite a few people that have come out who've wanted to see the beaver activity up in the area. So I live near Aviemore, and we've had beavers reintroduced down the Strathspey area on the Spey. And I've had people contact, though they don't want to learn about canoeing, but they want to be able to canoe enough to go see the activity that beavers have been doing, which is really cool. And that was just kind of another element to it. And people want to come and experience the journey. They might not care about the canoe strokes or the kayak strokes or your sup strokes, etc. But they want to go out, have a fun time, and then head home again. And that's where I think really finding out the purpose or the aim of people who come on trips is really key. And then you can shape the whole experience around that. And it can get quite challenging if you've got 6 people and 6 different aims. But if you've got them over a period of a couple of days, it's really quite something that you can really kind of hone in on and give everyone a little bit of an individualized trip when they've booked on an open trip there. And that's where it kind of comes into that every day you're out, it's your dynamic risk assessing where you are. And what you do with one group will change to another group and change to a different group. And I've ran rapids differently with many different groups because every trip is different. And as I was saying before, you can run the same river multiple times, but every time you paddle it, it'll be slightly different, as different levels, different weather, different group. I might even let people of the group lead a rapid. Some of the trips I run are coach trips that at the end of the trip we aim for them to be able to lead groups down and kind of be able to make confident decisions themselves. So it's great. I absolutely love when you say to clients, right, do you want to go lead this? You want to go lead this rapid, and they come away from it feeling a lot more confident in their ability. And I've just popped a quote in there from a trip I ran last year. I ran it with my friend Liam. We did the Rannoch crossing in canoes, and this was day 3. Day 3 we got to Loch Rannoch, and we kind of knew the weather was going to pick up. We saw it was going to pick up towards the afternoon, and we had a fairly confident and competent group, and we rafted the boats together and put up a couple of solar sails and some downwind sails, and we started off at the west end of Loch Rannoch and kind of started to journey along, and the wind was picking up. We had two 4-man rafts is what we ended up having, and it was absolutely incredible. It was probably the most spiciest conditions I've sailed in. It was definitely too spicy to put a big rig up. And the decision to do that was that we'd gathered so much information prior, so we knew the paddlers were competent. We knew some of them had been in conditions like that before. Others were a little bit hesitant or potentially nervous about it, but kind of came together, and we really had such a strong team in each of the rafts that myself and Liam, deemed that actually, yes, this is what we're going to do. We're going to sail it. And it wasn't until the very end we actually realized how big some of these waves were coming. And it was the best sailing I've ever done. Absolutely fantastic. And I would say it's very much, we were risk assessing it as we go. We had different headlands we were going to get to. We could duck in and out of it if we needed to. We weren't always too far away from the shore. Would I have done it with a different group? It would depend on who they are. But yeah, I definitely had to risk assess that one and go, okay, right, we're this far from the shore. These paddlers, I know they're competent, I know they're good. And it wasn't until we kind of surf landed on the beach at Rannoch Station that one of the clients was like, gosh, that was a bit spicy. He's like, were you nervous at all? And I was like, well, of course I was a little bit nervous. It was fantastic. Like the waves were massive, but we knew, I knew it was safe and controlled, that we'd already we'd risk assessed up. We knew what the group were going to be like. And at the end of it, we had a fantastic time. But that came down to knowing the group, being able to have sailed in conditions like that before, and knowing that if we needed to, we could drop the sails and paddle out of it and get to the bank. And so every trip is different, but it's always nice when people can come away feeling like they've pushed themselves out of their kind of safety and comfort zones, but not pushed themselves so much that they've kind of felt that they're unsafe or in a little bit in danger. And every time we can stretch that model of safety, comfort, and danger zones, that we can kind of enhance our paddling and make ourselves a little bit more kind of better and enjoying the water. And guiding is probably it's hard to kind of choose between guiding and coaching, but I think guiding would probably be the thing I love the most about the water and what I do. With coaching, definitely learned that talking less is more, and getting them to go out and do more, and practicing more and making it fun, is that the people who I'm coaching will get so much more out of it. There's a lot to be said about going into the technical aspect of everything and having people sit in an eddy and talking about it. But I feel now I'm kind of going more to getting people to go learn it and practice it and being able to do it for themselves. And I had a group not too long ago on the spey, and we were learning ferry gliding. We were doing S turns and breaking in and breaking out. And I could have sat there and told them exactly what to do, but then I don't think that would have instilled in their brains and their kind of their muscle motion. So it was like, go and explore it, see what works. And why do you need to angle your boat a certain way? When do you put the paddle in? Where do you need to put your body position? And I think in coaching, now everyone's got different ways that they coach, and that's absolutely fine. And what's working for me more now is giving little bits of information, but getting them to go explore. Now everyone learns different. Some people need all the information, they need the technical side of it, and that's grand. And being able to have the different styles to deliver that, so everyone can get something from you, is really quite important. But I definitely feel that we should be making learning a lot more fun. Getting them to go play. And I was out actually on the hill today having a chat with someone who does mountaineering, and he was talking about how actually when people go out to practice and kind of do things, the brain's so focused on having a task, right? I must practice this, I must do my ferry glide, I must do my S turns, or I must go climb this, I must go climb that, my gear placement, etc., that it's taken away from go explore and go have fun. So I definitely try and would encourage, when you're coaching, teach something, teach what a skill that what you're doing, and then allow them to have time for consolidation and allow time for fun, and bring back fun into coaching. And it's not all right, we're going to paddle here, we're going to do a skill. Now we're going to paddle here, we're going to do a skill. It's like, let's paddle, like park and play, go explore what the boat does. If you pop it into a surf wave, go explore what you do. If you want to backwards ferry glide, that was one question I got, was how do you backwards ferry glide? And I was like, well, give it a go. I was like, go on backwards and see what happens. And they learned so much from playing around and just seeing how the boat reacted to the water. And I definitely would encourage getting people to do more, just go explore. So your guided discovery kind of style would work there. And again, coaching why you do something, and you could give people so much information, you could give people the answer, but I don't think it sticks with them. If you get them to go find it out for themselves, I definitely feel that sticks a lot more with people. Instead of going, oh, hold your paddle this way, angle your boat, now you put some momentum in, so paddle right up the eddy. I'd be like, you know what, this is the area you're going to work in, and we've established it's a safe working environment. If you're going to capsize, you'll float on down, there's a couple of eddies at the bottom, we can manage that, but go play with it, go push yourself, see what works, see what doesn't. As it'll change. Ferry gliding from one edge to the other at one part of the river will change when you go further down, because the environment's different. And it's coaching the skill, coaching the environment, but also coaching the person, coaching the individual. What works for them won't work for someone else. And I've put down there, speak the truth, as a couple of people where when I've done some coaching or some guiding, they've asked, oh, how do you become a coach, or how do you become an instructor, and is it fun, is it enjoyable? And yeah, most of the time it is. But I think what a lot of people don't see is the paperwork and the admin and the emails, everything goes on behind the scenes. It's not all the fluffy, nice, really cool social media posts that go out. It's a lot of time and effort to go into it. And I've definitely spent a lot of time recently kind of reading journals, reading into coaching theories and how the mind works. Because I think a lot of the time you're coaching the mind, you're coaching the person, you're not necessarily coaching the skill, because the skill can be easily coached and come. It's getting the confidence built up in people. And I think that's an area where I definitely want to progress and go into more kind of coaching psychology and get into a few more journals. So I think if you've got time, definitely go through that and have a good look into, have a really good look into that and seeing what kind of method you can implement into your coaching. But I think in paddling, and I've definitely found it as being self-employed and kind of a lone worker most of the time, that the biggest thing that can really help and enhance us as paddlers, as coaches, guides, etc., is the community that we have. And some people might on this call are actually in these photos, and you look just like they're just smiley, happy faces here. It's people that enjoy being on the water. It's people that enjoy being on courses. You're supportive. You're helping each other. All ages, all walkways from life, all backgrounds, and we're all sharing the same moments at the same time. And there's no judgment, everyone's welcome. And even though some of these photos are from competitions, it's friendly competition. Isn't that right, Billy? Friendly competition. And it's fun, and the community is such a strong thing to have, knowing that as soon as you go in the water, there's a smiley face there to help you, or to kind of be supportive of you, or if you do fall out your boat, hopefully someone will help you get back in if you are struggling to self-rescue there. And it's these webinars like here, it's bringing the community together, having these open kind of webinars to share things, come together. It's having paddle events. It's having some of these photos are from the Spey Challenge. There's another couple of photos from a big sup event down at Loch Awe. There's the middle photo is a rafting course that was put on by a local provider, and it's showing that these opportunities are there, and just bringing people together, and the support that you have as instructors and guides. There's lots of WhatsApp groups that Adam Burns is really helping with the delivery partners, with clubs, and kind of the deployment that's now come out. It's how can we help, and how can we support, how can we help one another? And I think that's something we as a paddle community should be really proud of, and kind of really shout about, that we are here to support and help each other. And if something's not working, or you're a little bit unsure on how to coach a task with one of your kind of clients, you can always pick up the phone to someone and kind of chat through things with them, and just kind of get some people's intake on that. So I think our paddling community is absolutely fantastic up here, and it's one I'm very proud to be a part of. And I hope people that are on this call have got other people in their circle, and they've got access to certain things within the paddle community, or if you want kind of pointers on where to go, or kind of who you could contact, then definitely kind of stay on at the end, and we can chat about things, and we can go, okay, if your club's looking for a bit of financial support with things, we could see if there's Paddle Scotland grants, etc., or there might be, you could get a grant through your local council, or if you want to see about what events are coming up and what there is there out there for you. There's lots of, if you're into sup racing, I can definitely point you in the right direction of people who are really key in bringing and influencing the sup race community within Scotland, and you can get yourself involved in that. Or if you want to come and join the Spey Challenge, we should have dates for that soon, etc. There's just so much that's going on in the whole community of kind of the Scottish paddling, and it's just great to be a part of it. I think that was just a good nice kind of little roundup on the community side of things, as I didn't realize how powerful that was until I went self-employed. And actually you need people around to support and pick you up and kind of help you on that one there, which is really good. And another kind of thing that, I guess, naivety when I first kind of came into the industry, is that it was, for me, I was like, oh, I've got a coach, I've got a guide, and kind of share stories, etc. But actually the places that we paddle, They are beautiful, they are remote in times, they're wild, there's a kind of nature, there's wildlife there, and we want to share that with people. You want to share it with people for years to come. And on that, I'm very conscious with the trips I do now and the places I go and the number of people I put on trips. And I think that's something we should be mindful of when if we are going to commercially run something, or if you are going to go with peer-to-peer paddling and big groups out in the water, is the environmental impact that we have on the waterways, the coastal areas and the rivers that we're on. You can like organize a paddle cleanup. The big paddle cleanup's a fantastic kind of scheme that goes on. I think it's May to June every year. You can sign up as a club or sign up as kind of peer groups as well, and go on out and do a paddle cleanup of your local river. Or I always find when I paddle the Great Glenway, I come back with like so many tennis balls when you come through the last section into Inverness, and it's absolutely great because I've got a border collie, and he loves when I come back. He gets his stock of new tennis balls because they've been dug out the river. But I think it's important for us to share this knowledge and kind of be aware of people, and then go, okay, I'm going to limit this trip to 6 people, for example, plus myself. So that'll be like 7 tent footprints on where we're going. And if we are going to these remote areas, how are we going to impact the kind of the villages that we might park our vehicles in? How are we going to impact on the land that we're going to be in? And that's when it kind of encompasses that paddling so much more than just the water. It's so much more than just the river, just the locks, etc. We've got the wildlife that's around us. We've got the history. You've got the culture. You've got what the land is used for. And for those who know me a little bit more than just kind of my name or kind of company that's online, is that I absolutely love the River Spey. And like it's magic for me watching when you're paddling down and you've got a fisherman further down, and he's casting his line, and the sun glints on the line and it hits the water. And fishing's a major industry, major part of the Spey, and it's just lovely that you get to share and enjoy that as paddlers and fishermen. And I think we've actually got quite a good relationship up here with the Spey Fishing Board. So we've got that relationship, which is really good, and we can share the water together. Knowing the history of it and how much the water has helped influence the area. You've got our malt whiskey trail up here. It's incredible what it does for it, and just knowing like people throughout the land that you can talk about, and how the river and how the water has really just helped shaped everything that's around. And I've kind of put at the top that the river has no voice, but it's got so much history, it's got so much stories, there's so much culture to it, that it journeys from source to sea, that you want to be able to kind of encompass and share this. And if we as guides, coaches and leaders and people who paddle, if we stop sharing this history and this culture and the stories, that will it be lost? So it's just something that I'd maybe kind of start bearing in mind when you're going on out, that can we continue to share the stories, continue to share the history, so then we can kind of show what the rivers and what the coastal areas and the locks that we are paddling on have. And the wildlife as well. And a lot of people that come on trips want to get a really cool photo of seals, or they want to get, if there's an otter, let's kind of see if we can see if we can paddle up, wait in an eddy and watch from afar. And there's lots of courses you can do on this. The WISE course is a great one to go do, and how close should you actually paddle towards seals that are bathing on the rocks, etc. And it's just a kind of it's more than paddling, is what I'm trying to convey here. It's going in the boat is absolutely amazing. I love paddling, but I think paddling has just opened up so much more that I didn't know when I first started. And you don't know what you don't know until you start. And I think we can share that amongst ourselves and share that with people when we're out on the water, and kind of be that ambassador for the water, so to say, on that one. And I know, sorry, I'm kind of running out of time, aren't I? And I'm going to try this other video, and it's kind of to sum up what other people have learned on the river. And I took a group of, I think it was 15 or 16 people out to the Yukon in 2024. And this video is from their perspective. It's what they've learned on the river. It's what they've learned about it. And not many of them could paddle before. So I'm going to try see if this link's going to work. Hopefully it does. If not, I'll pop the link in in. So I'm just going to try it now. If it doesn't work, someone's going to have to let me know. Is that working?
I can't hear anything, Emmy, I'm afraid.
Oh, I'll put the link in. Okay, there's a link in the chat. So try that one. It's about a 4-minute video, so I'll give you 4 minutes to watch it, and then we can come back. Oh, I'm just going to try and get the slides back on. I've just got one last slide, but that video was just really nice to share that those people had come from who hadn't paddled before, who came in a fantastic experience, like once in a lifetime experience. And what we really took away from that was that, yeah, you can coach a skill, you can go on a trip, you can go on an adventure, you can go on an expedition, but actually it's about people. It's about the people you meet, the conversations you have, the stories that you share. And for me, it just really, really hones in a lot that that's what it means to me. It's about meeting people when you go out. It's about sharing your experiences and kind of sharing the same things that we have going on in life. And you can be from so many different backgrounds and have so many walks of life, but you've come together in one moment to share the same place. And I think more and more that I keep reminding myself that I have to slow down. And a couple of people on this call know that all I do is work, and I'm trying so hard to slow down and to go for some personal paddling. And there's some people on the call that kind of drag me out every now and again and go, right, we're just going for a paddle. And you forget how much you've missed having fun. You've missed kind of playing on a surf wave. You've missed trying to catch eddies. And that the paddling world, for anywhere you go, it's incredible to be in the water, and it's incredible to be able to share these journeys with people and share skills so they can then go and have these amazing trips as well. But it's conversations, it's people, it's kind of relating to others and sharing those memories. And I think if anything to take away from kind of a chat tonight is that get to know people on the river, talk to them and share their experiences. And that trip when you out in Canada, we had no phone service for pretty much 12 days, and it was conversations around the campfire that really just resonated with me. That I've missed the conversation since kind of media and social has kind of taken over in the world. And I just really feel that we need to kind of get back to having these conversations and enjoying time with people and enjoying time on the water with others and sharing it in a very safe environment, of course, but that way. But yeah, so I just want to say thank you for listening, and persevering through a few of those tech problems. As I said before, I'm definitely more of a paddler than a tech person. But yeah, I'd like to just open the floor to anyone if anybody wants to ask any questions or share any thoughts. The webinar is very much yours as it is mine. So please do, if you want to ask anything, I can stop sharing the screen and we can go into the chat box. Or if you want to ask about any kind of coaching things or any kind of places where you can kind of get help for clubs or community, kind of bringing people together, then please do pop that in the chat. But yeah, I just want to say thank you very much for listening, and I hope you've enjoyed it. And if not, we can pass it back to Louisa. Oh, I didn't notice Ailey's on this chat. Hey Ailey, how you doing?
Hello.
Hey, yeah, had a great. How you doing?
Good, you?
Yeah, not bad. You getting out in the water?
Not massively, because life is life at the moment. But it's nice when I do get out.
No, it's good. It's good. It's great seeing you back. It's great seeing you on the water every time I see you out there. So no, awesome.
Aye. Well, since I last spoke to you, we have gotten said dog, and she's just left the room. So I'll go and get her so you can meet her.
Thank you. We'll do that.
Yeah, thank you so much, Emy. I'm sure you could have gone on for a lot longer about all your experiences, but
I tried to keep it to the hour, and then the tech problems happened, and then I was like, oh no. But